All right, AMDM students, welcome to midterm video number 1. We're going to be talking about the midterm study guide part 1. Now, just to remind you guys, and that is the way that the midterm study guide is set up, it's set up to where you get multiple versions every time you open up a new study guide. So that means the question, like question number 1, you can see Tom works at Pallet King. It may not necessarily be your exact answer or question, but you would apply the same process to question number 1 of your version. So hopefully that makes sense. All right, let's get started. All right, so Tom works at Pallet King. His biweekly gross is 2,300. His employer is changing his schedule from biweekly to semi-monthly. All right, so from a visual perspective, biweekly to semi-monthly. All right, there is no direct connect. There's nothing you can do to simply go from biweekly to semi-monthly. It can't work. So what you have to do is you have to take a little detour to yearly and then go back to semi-monthly. All right. So in this case, you're starting with biweekly. So biweekly, you would multiply it by 26 to get yearly, and then you would divide by 24 to get semi-monthly. So here we go. So 2,300 is his biweekly pay. We're going to times it by 26, and we're going to get his yearly pay, whatever that may be. Then I'm just going to simply divide by 24, and then there you go. My answer, 24.92. All right. Now, the pace in which I'm going might be a little too fast for you, so feel free to stop it, pause, go back, and watch it again if I'm going too fast. All right, so Albert, Chris, and Dave are all brothers, and we're trying to figure out who gets paid the second most. Now, since everyone works on a different or has a different pay schedule, I always like to convert everyone to yearly. It's just easier that way. So Al works full-time and gets paid hourly. We'll go back to that. Bert's monthly gross is 4,500, so I'm going to times that by 12 to get his yearly. Chris, biweekly, I'm going to times that by 26. And then, let's see, Dave is over here. He gets, let's see, semi-monthly, so I'm going to times that by 24. Now, the only thing that's different is when you get paid hourly, because what you got to do is you got to convert to weekly, which is multiply it by 40, and then you have to multiply that by 52 to get his yearly. So very quickly, let's go ahead and do this. So 40 times 25 times, and then we're going to multiply by 52. All right, so Al gets $52,000 a year, 4,500 times 12. Bert gets $54,000. All right. Dave is 54,600. I'm sorry, Chris is 54,600. And Dave, having this question on the other line kind of makes it a pain, but anyway, 50,400. Now it says the second most. I'm just going to go ahead and do all of them. So who gets paid the most? That would be Chris. Chris gets paid the most. Who gets paid the second most would be Bert. Who gets paid the third most, and who gets paid the least would be Dave. There we go. All right, question number 3. John works at Georgia Power as a lineman. All right, so my students know this question a lot. What I like to do is make a timeline just to visually see what's going on. So my timeline starts at 0 and it goes all the way to how many hours he's working, which is 69. Now, in this particular question, you have to take these 69 hours, you got to divide them up into 3 parts. How much is regular time, overtime, and then lastly, double time. All right. Now, what you should know is that the first 40 hours is regular time. So I'm going to put 40 hours right here. All right. So the first 40 hours, so RT, the first 40 hours. All right. Now, it says that, let's see, okay, I like to go to double time. It says double time if any hours after 60. So visually, I'm going to put 60 right here, and everything from 60 to 69 will be considered double time. So double time is 9 hours. All right. Now, everything between 40 and 60 would be considered overtime. So overtime would be 20 hours in this problem. All right. Now, let's talk about pay. All right. So talking about pay, he makes $40 an hour. So that means regular time, he gets $40 an hour. Now, overtime is time and a half. Now, time and a half numerically is 1.5. So off to the side, he makes $40 an hour. Off to the side is here. Okay, $40 an hour times 1.5. That gives me $60 an hour. Okay. Now, where students screw up is on double time. Okay, double time, obviously you're timesing by two, but here's what students do. Don't make this mistake. They take, oh, well, $60 is overtime, so I'm going to take 60 times it by two. No, incorrect. All right, you always go back to regular time. Regular time is 40, and you times that by two, which gives you 80. All right. So once you have all this information, you're going to take 40 times $40, get a number here, 20 times 60, get a number here, 9 times 80, get a number there, and add it all up, and your answer is going to be 3520 in this example. Question number 4. Oops, forgot that. All right, question number 4. Chris sells computer equipment for his company. He receives a base pay. We'll talk about base pay in a second. And he receives 10% for his first 500 and then 15% anything over 5,000. Sorry, I said 500, 5,000. He sold 1,300. 13,000. Well, I'm getting my zeros messed up today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 13,000. I'm going to divide it up into two groups. Now, the two groups that I'm going to divide it up in is what I call regular time, and I'll do this in air quotes because technically it's not regular time, and then overtime. All right, air quotes. All right, it says he receives 10% for the first 5,000. So his regular time would be the first 5,000 he sells, which is going to be 10%. Anything over 5,000 would be considered, quote, overtime. So how much more did he sell above 5,000? Well, simple subtraction problem tells us it's going to be 8,000. And that'll be multiplied by 15%. All right, so I'm going to take this and multiply it together, and I get 500. I'm going to take this, multiply it together, and I get 1,200. I want to add those two up. But also the base pay. Base pay means he gets paid $300 regardless of what he sells. So that means for his overall pay, we are going to add it to the commission pay. And you'll get your answer. All right. Question number 5. John works for a company, installs regulators on propane tanks. For every regulator he installs, he gets a quarter. He also receives a base pay. Last week, his overall gross pay was $550. All right. So this is a question where we're going to have to kind of work backwards. So his gross P, I'm just going to abbreviate, is equal to his base pay, all right, plus his install pay. All right, his install pay. All right. So let's put some numbers here. His gross pay was 550 is equal to his base pay, which is 200 plus, well, we don't know. All right, so using a little bit of algebra here, we're going to subtract 200. So we're at 350. So 350 is equal to his install pay. All right, but the question isn't what is his install pay. His question is how many regulars did he install? Well, he gets a quarter for every install. So basically the question is how many quarters are there in 350? So hopefully you would figure the operation I'm describing is division. So 350 divided by a quarter would give me 1,400. All right, question number 6. George works for Gas Meter RX. His job is to install electronic meter reading equipment. All right, $5 for the first 150, 13 for anything over 150. Last week, George installed 133 meters. How much did he earn? Okay, so let's kind of unpack what this is saying. All right, so basically, again, going back to this whole like regular time analogy, anywhere from 1 meter all the way to 150, he would get $5 each. All right. Overtime, again, using that analogy, is anything from 151 to whatever is $13 each. Now, he only installed 133. So he never made it to overtime. So he never made it to that overtime pay. He just stayed in the regular time pay. So mathematically, I'm just going to take 133 and times it by 5, and I'm going to get my answer. All right, Ivan is a meter reader for a local gas company. His job is to read meters. All right, he is paid a piecework pay of 40 cents for 500 meters and then 60 for anything over 500. So yesterday he read 600. So this is one of those air quote regular time and all that. So hopefully that analogy is hurting you and not, I'm sorry, helping you and not hurting you. So regular time, so to speak, would be the first 500, okay, which he gets 40 cents per. Overtime would be considered anything over 500, which he went 600, so that's an additional 100 meters, times that by zero point 0.6. So very simply, I'm just going to take 500 times it by 40 cents, 100 times it by 60 cents, and I'm simply going to add those up. All right. Question number 8. John works for ABC Corps and paid weekly. His group medical insurance costs that a year, which he pays 25% of the cost. How much will be deducted from his paycheck? All right. So group medical insurance costs $13,000 a year. All right. So this is the total cost. All right. So this is the total cost of his health care, but he doesn't pay the total cost. He only pays 25%. So I'm going to take how much the total cost is. I'm going to times it by 25%. All right. So when I do that, I'm going to get basically what is his responsibility. So this is how much he owes. All right. He owes 3,000. So at the end of the year, he's got to pay $3,375. But he doesn't pay that all in once. He pays it weekly. So that means that 3,000 gets divided up into weekly paychecks. So mathematically, I'm going to divide by 52 to get my answer, which is $64.90. All right. Remember, just again, your questions may be a little different than my questions, and so obviously we have a little bit of a we just remember take what I'm doing and just apply it to your numbers. All right, so Tom works for a company. We're doing gross pay here. Gross pay is 2,400 because that's what it says. Now remember, you're going to take gross pay and you're going to multiply it by all of the percentages. Okay. Oh, I forgot to state. Okay. Now, to make this video as short as possible, I'm just going to write down what these percentages are as a decimal. All right, so that'd be 0.5, 0.05, and that'd be 0.01. All right, and so again, in the interest of time, whatever number you get here, 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 all of these numbers that you get, you add all up and then subtract it from 2,400. So like, let's play the what if game. What if all these numbers added up to be 800? Okay, then I would just simply off to the side take 2,400, subtract it from 800, and I would get my net pay. All right. Question number 10. All right, so Tom went to the store and bought 3 shirts for $50 each, socks for $10 each, pants for $30. If the sales tax was 6%, what was the total purchase price? All right, well, I got to add up everything that he bought. So 3 shirts for 50, that's a grand total of 150. Socks for 10, and then pants for 30. So 150 plus that plus that. So that ends up being 190, and I'm going to times it by 6%, which is 0.06 as a decimal, and I believe it's going to be $11.40. All right. Now, I'm looking for the total purchase price, so I would add it back. So I would add it back, and I would get $201.40. All right. Now, this is the sales tax. Be careful with some of these questions because sometimes the question could ask, how much sales tax did you pay? Well, if that was the question, it would be $11.40. But the question was asking, what was the total purchase price? Now, look over here, guys. See where E-Class marked it wrong because this student did not put a 0 here. That's the only reason why E-Class marked it wrong. So when you're going back and looking at your quiz, make sure if you got something wrong, make sure it was like, okay, it was an error when it comes to entering in my answer, or maybe it was a rounding answer. So this right here obviously is he forgot to put the zero. But let's say, for example, he ended up with like 160. Well, obviously, if he put 160 and if the answer is 120, that's obviously a wrong as opposed to a rounding issue wrong. So again, keep that in mind as you go back and check your work. Okay. All right, so John is single. All right, so in this question, the standard deduction has already been subtracted. Okay, so remember in these type of questions, you have to subtract the standard deduction first, but this one's already been subtracted. So we're going to take 2950, oh, I'm sorry, 29,502. We're going to go to the table for that. And it comes right there on that line here. So I'm going to use this number here. So 995 plus 0.12, something minus something. Well, remember, what I'm looking up goes here. So 29,502. And then the last number in the problem goes there, 9,950. All right. So remember, this table tells us how much he owes in tax. I'm sorry, how much he should pay. So if you have a scientific calculator, you can basically just type it into your calculator, press enter, and when you do that, the answer ends up being, round to the nearest whole dollar, 3,341. All right. Now, if I went too fast on that, again, feel free to go back and watch that part of the video, but I'm sure we're going to see another tax question. And here it is. All right, so here's our tax question. So it says John is single, and his W-2 showed that he earned 3,337, and he paid this in taxes. How much did he pay? All right, or I'm sorry, what is his conclusion? Will he owe or get a refund? All right, so now we got to go from start to finish. This is how much money he made. All right, first thing out of the box, I got to subtract the standard deduction. All right, and the standard deduction will always be 12,550. So here, we're going to look up on our table 325,080. We're going to go to the table with that. And that puts us right here in the 35% bracket, which means I'm going to use this information. So 47,843 plus 0.35, parentheses, something minus something. Now remember, whatever number you're looking up goes in the first something, the 325.80. And then the last number on the row goes there. So 209,425. All right, let's do the math. All right, so when I do that, I get an answer of 88,322. I'm rounding here. Now, this is how much he should have paid. All right. If you look at your problem, I'll do this in red ink so you see it. This right here is how much he did pay. So you have to compare how much should he have paid versus how much did he pay. So I got to find the difference. He obviously should have paid more, so that's going to be an owing situation. So he's going to owe, this is going to be an owing of whatever the difference is, which is 672. So he's going to have to write a check to the IRS for $672. All right. All right. True to form, we have a state tax table. All right. So we are going to basically do the exact same thing for state as we did for federal. All right, we still got to use the tax table. We still got to use the standard deduction. But the standard deduction in the state of Georgia is 4,600. So first thing out of the gate, I got to subtract 4,600 from how much money he made. So the process of both state and federal are very similar. It's just different numbers. All right, so this is what we're going to go to the table for. We're going to the table for 39,640. So click on the table here. We're going to go to the 39,000 block. I believe it's going to be over here. 39, oh, on the next page here, 30, 39, 39, 39. Oh, there we are. Zoom in a little more. 39,640 is going to be between here, 607, 2107. 2107. Remember, you're always single. All right. So, according to the table, he should pay 2107. All right. Now, looking at the problem, this is how much he did pay. So, compare should versus did. Well, he didn't pay enough, so obviously that's going to be an owing situation. How much does he owe? I don't know. Let's do a simple subtraction problem and figure it out. 157. So he owes 157 bucks. All right. Question number 14. John is let's see, 18 years old. He invests 5,000 in an account that earns up simple interest. Okay? Simple interest would be this guy. Whenever you see the word simple interest, it's always going to be the I formula. What is the balance? All right. Now, first off, let's go ahead and do the formula here. So, principal P R. The problem starts when he's 18, and then now he's 85. So, um, that means T would be 67 years. All right. So 5,000 parenthesis 0.02 times 67. Okay. So when I do the math, I get, I think it's going to be I is equal to 6,700. Okay. Now, here's what you got to remember, and I'll do this in blue to stand out. I means money made. Okay. B means total money. Okay. So this is what's going to screw a lot of students up, and that is because they got I is equal to 6,700. This represents how much money he made. But read the question. The question is, what is his balance? All right. So that means we need to know his total money. So if he made 6,700 and if he started with 5,000, I'm just going to add the two together to get 11,700. All right. So that's how it works. All right. In fact, I'm going to leave, if I can, the I and the B there just so you can see that we're going to come back to that on the next question. Oh, here we go again. John invested $1,000 in the account. Oh, earns compounded quarterly. That is this guy. All right. N will equal to 4, which means we got to use the big boy formula. Okay. So P would be 10,000. Remember, the formula starts with B. Now, guys, remember, the formula starts with B. So that means when I press enter, I'm going to get my total money. So 10,000 times 1 plus 0.02 over 4, close parenthesis, caret. And I'm just typing it in exactly the way or I'm writing it exactly the way I would in the calculator. I press enter. B is equal to 14,903. Now, remember, B means total money. This is total money. What is the question asking? What is the balance? Well, the balance means total money. So I got the total. I need the total. So guess what? I don't have to add. I don't have to subtract anything. I am good to go. So 14,903. A lot of you guys are messing up on that because you're getting a number and you don't know where what that number means. All right. Look at that. One more. John invested 12,000 in an account that earns 4% compounded up monthly. Up. N is equal to 12, which means we're going to use the big boy formula again. All right. So B is equal to 12,000. Parenthesis 1 plus 0.04 over 12, close parenthesis, raised to the power of 12 times 10 years. When I do the math, B is going to be 17,890. Now, notice this student got it wrong. That's what they did. Remember, B means total money. What was the question actually asking? How much interest was earned? So what the question was asking is how much money was made. So we have 17,000, which is the total. We're going to subtract it from the original 12,000 that we started with. The answer was 55,890. Remember, don't make that mistake. So no more mistakes about that. All right. Oh, my goodness. One more. All right. So Bob is 18 years old, wealthy grandfather. All right. Compounded continuously. this guy. All right. So B is equal to 50,000, which is the P, E, caret, R, which would be 0.02 times how many years? Let's see, Bob starts when he's 18 years old. How much is he 90? That'd be 72 years have passed. So when we do the math, we end up with a number that I don't know off the top of my head. I think it's probably going to be like 121,000, but we're going to let the calculator decide. Remember, you use your little E formula calculator on your calculator. All right, yep, 211,000. All right, so B is equal to 211,000, and we're going to round 0.35. Now remember, B equals total. All right, B equals total. But what is the question asking? How much interest will he earn? So that means I'm looking for how much money did he make? Well, he has a total of 211,000. He started off with 50,000, so that means we're going to subtract to get this guy right here. All right. All right, let's see if I'm done with this. Oh my Lord, one more. All right. Okay. How much simple interest? Remember, simple interest, we're using this formula right here. Okay. So 15,000 is 15,000 parenthesis 0.016 parenthesis times 8. Do the math, I get 1,920. So I is equal to 1,920. In fact, I should have wrote it like this. My bad. Now remember, I represents money made. What is the question asking? Oh, it says how much simple interest does. So basically, it's not asking for the balance. It's asking for how much money was made. So you just use the formula and just press enter. All right. Remember, make sure that you are going to match everything up correctly. And we don't need it anymore. Okay. I don't need this anymore. Okay. David went to a local car lot and found a car that was 25,400. If the TAVT, okay. So 25,400. All right, this is very similar to like sales tax. This times by 0.04. And then you're going to get the tax, which is 1778. This is tax. Now, sometimes this question can ask, what is the total purchase price? So if the question was asking for the total purchase price, then you would take that and add it back. But since it's not doing that, it's just asking for the tax, which is 1778. All right, that is part one of the midterm study guide. Hopefully you found it as useful as it should have been, and stand by for part two.